Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. So actually, it's uh yeah. So connection is also better, and I think we are on air now, so that's why.
Uh, 1 second, let me just see if I will unmute my. Now, can you see me also?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
But I cannot see you.
Uh, my okay. So it okay. So I can see you because I am on the other screen.
Okay.
On the screen there is overlay right now. So I'll
Okay.
just move that. Just a minute, please.
Yeah, I
Oh,
can see you.
hi, hello.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing just great. How are you?
Absolutely fine.
Okay, I'll just do this. Uh, just a minute, please. I'll just open the presentation and share my screen.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
By the way, it's great to know that you belong to Jalandhar, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, my pleasure. I was also quite happy to hear about you.
So, okay, please let me know when my screen is visible.
Sure.
Uh, this one. Is it visible?
No, not yet.
I'll just ask someone to check on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So in the meantime, I've been, I am also quite active on LinkedIn, and it's great following you on LinkedIn.
My pleasure.
All the posts, especially the crypto word of the day.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's really very educating for me.
Nice. So, what is your background like? You have done engineering?
Yes, BTech.
Nice.
Currently, I'm working as a blockchain consultant in Mohali.
Nice. Very nice. So, BTech आपने कहाँ से किया?
Jalandhari, David
Okay.
College. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Okay, so I guess we are live. I just got the confirmation.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just basically start. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this blockchain conference by Quill Hash. So, this conference is about NFTs, everything you need to know about NFTs. And I'm honored to have Mr. Rohas Nagpal with me today, who is one of the thought leaders in this space and one of the experts in the crypto space, right? So, sir, please.
Yeah. Hi. It's a pleasure to be here. So, are we going to go with the presentation that you sent me, or it's a direct I'll be speaking? Or you want to
Uh,
share the presentation or not needed?
Absolutely. I can share the presentation. Uh, just a minute, please. I think the presentation will give kind of the idea to the
Sure.
audience that this is something they'll see. I'll just confirm. Okay. So, sorry. Yes. So can
Okay.
you see?
Yeah, I'm able to see that. Okay, great.
Great.
So, yeah, let's just go to the next slide. Okay. So, the first issue that I'd like to talk about is what is the difference between fungible and non-fungible token? Now, when
Absolutely.
let's take a very simple example. If I hold up this currency note, so
Mhm.
this is 500 rupee note. Now, is it true that all 500 rupee notes are same in terms of value? What do you think?
Absolutely. We hardly look at the numbers, right? We can just.
No, I actually disagree. You remember what happened at the time of demonetization, where overnight certain 500 rupee notes were declared to have zero value. So
Okay.
if you today look at the old 500 rupee note and compare with the new one of them has the value, the other has no value. So currency notes are not actually non-fungible. I mean, they are not fungible. They are non-fungible, which means actually each of them is unique.
Okay.
Suppose one of the currency notes is torn, uske upar there is some tape which is put. People may refuse to accept it. So when we look
Exactly.
at physical paper currency, it is not considered to be fungible because they are not equal to each other. But now let's say I look at my app. Say I have an app with Axis Bank and you have an app with ICICI Bank. I have 1000 balance, you have 2000 balance. That money is considered fungible. It is the same because it is in a digital form. So one rupee in my wallet is equal to 1 rupee in your wallet. There we do not have the concept of the paper coming into the picture. So the
Okay.
simple meaning of fungible is all units of those are considered the same. Now let's take another example. Do you think Bitcoin is fungible? Can we say that each and every Bitcoin has the same value?
No.
Why not?
Has the same value, but all of the Bitcoin tokens, they all have their different addresses, no?
Agreed. But does it change in terms of usability or acceptance?
No, absolutely not.
Actually, even there, I disagree, and I will tell you why. Suppose a
Okay.
particular Bitcoin has come through, let's say, a known terrorist account or a known ransomware person's account. You can see that on that address they have received money for some criminal act, and now they are trying to pay from the same. Many people may refuse to take the money. In Bitcoin, it is actually possible to know the address from which is coming and what it has done in the past. There are certain cryptos where you can't even make that out. So even in
Exactly.
Bitcoin's case, we can say in some way it is not always fungible. So a non-fungible token is something which is unique. So now what we must understand is that when I take, let's say nowadays we hear a lot about this NFT, may people are buying videos or buying JPG images for a huge amount of money. Actually,
Yes.
that is not true. That's not what is happening. That is just what we read in the media. What we must remember is that the NFT or the non-fungible token represents a license,
Mhm.
not the actual file or the image itself. I'll give you a
Okay.
simple example. Have you heard about the Harry Potter series of books?
Yes, absolutely.
No. Now, when you go to the market and you buy a book, how much does it cost?
If a copy in my country, it will cost almost 200-300 per book.
Okay. Abhi, in 300 rupees, what are you buying? Are you buying one copy or are you buying the right to translate that book into other languages and sell it? You're
Exactly.
only buying a single copy for your
Single.
personal use. That
Absolutely.
is a very basic thing. But
Mhm.
now imagine that you were getting a license to translate this Harry Potter book into Punjabi, for example, or Hindi, and then sell it and make a profit from it. Now, will you be able to pay? Will you be ready to pay more?
Absolutely.
And that's where NFT comes into the picture. When you buy an NFT, what is important is the license that is being given to you to do something more. Anybody can go to the internet and take a screenshot. Anybody can go and download a pirated PDF of Harry Potter. But when you get the proper intellectual property rights, that's what makes the NFT valuable. And that is something I want everybody to understand because 99% of the people don't get it. People are still
Okay.
thinking, "Arey yaar, kisi ne JPG kharid li. Somebody
Yeah.
has bought a video." No, they have bought a license to do
License.
something with it. And that is where the critical point begins.
It's not even about the ownership, because some people think that it's ownership of the material or ownership of the asset, but it's actually a right to sell or a right to resell, a right to copy, a right to do that.
Absolutely correct. Because when we look at intellectual property, you can never own it. You can
Exactly.
only get licenses to it. When you go and buy a car, you are the owner of the car. You can burn the car, you can break the car down, you can do whatever you feel like with it. You can rent the car, you
Exactly.
can sell the car. But if your car has a logo of Mercedes, you are not allowed to use that for your personal businesses because you are not getting a right to use that logo. You are getting a right to use that piece of metal which is actually sold to you as a car.
Exactly.
Similarly, when you download a software, you're not buying the software. You are getting a license to use it, and there will be mentioned what are the conditions, how many computers you can use it on, what you can and cannot do with it. So always remember an NFT must represent some license, and that is critical. Is that
Okay.
clear? Any questions?
Absolutely. That's perfectly clear.
Oh, could you just scroll the slide so I'll just see?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so how do non-fungible tokens work? So there are several platforms. We'll just talk about them in some time, and
Mhm.
anybody can go there and create it. Now the problem which happens is, let's look at social media also today. Are we 100% sure who is the person we are dealing with on social media? No. Only if the guy has that blue tick and he's a verified person, then we know, okay, we are chatting with the right person. But what about the vast majority of people who we don't know? Now, that same problem continues in the NFT world, that we don't know whether the correct person has actually put up that token or not. If I am the creator of something, then only I have the right to put it up. But what if somebody else goes and puts it up in my name, but I'm not allowing it? So now you end up buying an NFT which is worthless. So, which is why it is important to understand that whenever we are buying an NFT, we should be 100% sure we are dealing with the correct person who has the rights to give. Then that person can go to multiple platforms, which I'll talk about, and he can create this NFT. And now that NFT gets created on a particular blockchain platform.
Mhm.
So, in fact, let me just get into some of the names of these. So, let's take an example of Ethereum. So, some of the top platforms. So, for example, OpenSea is a very popular platform.
Very popular,
Printable
yes.
is another one. Cargo is another one. Now, let's say
Mhm.
all three of them are running on Ethereum. So, what will happen is you could go to any of these platforms and create the NFT, but it can be then bought and sold from another platform. So what you are creating in OpenSea can actually be traded in Cargo. Why? Because they're running on the same blockchain. However,
Okay,
there is also Tron, which has started its own platform. There is also the Flow blockchain. So there you will not be able to actually interchange. So something created on Ethereum will not be directly tradable on Tron. So that
wrong.
again is one thing we need to bear in mind. Now talking about the top platforms, so personal experience, I have used two. One of them is Mintable, which is
Mhm.
completely free of charge, and one of them is Cargo.build, which is charging you $2 per NFT.
Okay.
OpenSeas is by far the biggest, but the problem is you have to pay gas fee, which could be very expensive. So a few days ago when I checked, it was 5,000 rupees. That means
Mhm.
for each NFT, I have to pay 5,000 rupees, which is not really always practical, especially
Yes,
when you're interacting. So
exactly.
personally, I would recommend as of today Mintable and Cargo. Mintable being totally free, Cargo being $2. They have an option called Magic Minting. Just make sure you go
Mhm.
into that option.
Okay.
Somebody has a question in India, can we launch NFT marketplace? Absolutely, you can. Now, you must understand what is the meaning of a platform versus a marketplace. In
Mhm.
many cases, both of them are in the same. Like OpenSea is a minting platform, plus it has a marketplace. Marketplace is where you go and buy and sell. Minting platform is where the author or the creator can go and create an NFT. So yes,
Exactly.
if your question is marketplace, I would say definitely there is a good need for that. If your question is platform, I would not recommend because there are many NFT platforms. I mean, there are more than 20 good ones which I have seen. So trying to create the 21st doesn't make much sense unless you have some brilliant idea which nobody else is doing.
You know, because in the end of the day, even if you create an NFT platform, it's not going to be interoperable with other platforms.
Unless there are no, it will be interoperable if it is on the same blockchain.
Same blockchain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you are creating a platform on, let's say, Ethereum, it will interact with all the other Ethereum ones also, the marketplace.
So when we create an NFT marketplace, so like let's take an example. I want to create an NFT marketplace. Can I list Ethereum as well as Tron NFTs on it?
Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. So you have to just realize that the payment systems will change. In fact, if anybody is thinking of a platform, the one thing which I really want to see in a platform and I don't see anywhere is the ability to buy from a credit debit card. Today,
Okay.
all these NFT platforms require you to pay using the native token. That
Native.
means if I want to buy from Ethereum, which is the most popular, I need MetaMask or some other wallet and I need to put ETH balance. But that is a very big friction. See, if
Yes.
I just want to buy an art or a collectible, why am I presumed to have knowledge of crypto and actually know how to buy it? But if
Exactly.
I'm allowed to do it from a credit card, it's brilliant. It becomes so easy. In fact, that is the
Exactly.
one thing I liked about Cargo.build is that you can pay this $2 fees by credit card. You don't have to pay by native. So in on your platform, one option is you will say, okay, for all the Ethereum NFTs, pay in ETH, for the Tron ones, pay in their token, or
Mhm.
you could say any of them pay by card. And then at the background, you will have to do the integration, but that will be the real game changer.
Because integration with the traditional system is the only way to move forward, right?
Absolutely correct. Because everybody
Like,
has the normal UPI slash debit credit cards and they're comfortable using it. So why not make it easy for them to buy? Why do we make it difficult for them?
absolutely. Absolutely. And even people who are skeptical about crypto, there are a lot of people still skeptical, right? So all of that market is just sitting there. They are not
Correct.
investing in NFTs because of this reason.
Correct.
And we can not even imagine how much traction it can get if that integration is become.
Exactly, exactly, absolutely. In fact, not just people who are skeptical. Someone like me also, I am not comfortable buying something using ETH Because for
Yeah,
me, ETH is an investment. It is not a medium of exchange. The Indian rupee is a medium of exchange for me.
absolutely.
ETH and Bitcoin are not. So I'd rather just hold on to it. Why should I buy? Because then I will feel bad tomorrow when the rate goes up. I'll say, oh, why should I? Why did I pay in ETH? So I think
Yeah.
INR or fiat is the best way to go if you want your marketplace to pick up.
Or maybe
Someone say,
stable coins of those, right?
pardon?
Or maybe stable coins of those, stable coin of USD.
Absolutely, definitely, stablecoin makes a lot of sense. Yes, I totally agree with you. How much viable is NFT after sale marketplace? I think it's extremely viable because after sale is going to be a bigger marketplace. So today, when you are hearing about all these people, art, and so many other examples, first of all, ignore them. See, some of them are not even true. If you start reading slowly in the media, you're going to see a lot of scams are happening, and some of them are just to create hype. But actually, if you look at it, I believe NFT is a game changer because for the first time in the world, it is allowing creators to monetize their intellectual property very well. I'll give you a simple example. Most of my life, I am an author, right? Most of the money I have ever made in my life is from the books I have written. I know how much of a pain it is when I have to transfer some licenses to other people for translating my book or doing any modification. But
Yeah,
when I look at NFTs, it is brilliant. It makes it very easy for me as an author to have translations around the world. So I usually write on very tech related cybersecurity kind of things. And those are niche books. And it's very difficult for me to do all that in a paper based format, transferring rights. So NFT can completely change the game for authors like me, artists, painters, musicians, even people who are holding trademarks, patents. We have a lot of people who are creating innovative patents. For the first time in the world, the issue of licensing patents also becomes very easy. So all this is very, very good. And now if you add an after sale part to it, like somebody has just posted the question, after sale in IP is another very, very big market which nobody has touched till today.
yeah, absolutely. And see, from the examples that I have just heard, it changed the whole perspective because obviously, when a person like me, who wants to just learn about NFT, he goes to a random website and learns about it in a definition, right? We don't get that much of clarity. For example, the currency example that you gave in NFT, that changed the whole perspective. So, would it be an exaggeration to say that NFTs are the future of assets as we see?
They're the future of a lot of assets. So, in fact, why should we stop only at intellectual property? Why not consider a real painting like the actual Mona Lisa? Now, just
Yeah,
imagine, I mean, that Mona Lisa original painting is worth hundreds of millions of dollars and it is lying in a museum there. Now, imagine if that museum says, I will tokenize this painting and people around the world can buy a part of it, but the painting will remain in the museum, the rental will continue to come, and maybe some of that can be shared with us. But if I want that satisfaction of owning 0.001% of Mona Lisa, I can get it. Plus,
exactly.
as the price of it increases over time, my token now becomes worth more.
Yeah,
Also, consider applying it to real estate. I mean,
yeah.
there may be so many good buildings in Dubai. I may not be able to buy an entire apartment, but why can I not buy 1% of that? So, NFTs can go into so many other places also. They are the future
Absolutely.
of tokenization.
So this brings me to another question: partial ownership.
Exactly. Partial ownership or fractionalization, I think, is sorry, is a very strong use case. We
Mhm.
have already got few startups in India who are trying to do it in the real estate space.
Okay.
But the problem in real estate is the legal situation is very complex. So in a country like India, fractionalizing real estate as of today, not very practical. But then there are other
Mhm.
countries where it's actually easy to do because of the legal systems there. But in
Absolutely.
places like India, you could do it for a lot of intellectual property, art. Some people like to collect old vintage cars. Some
Yeah.
people like to collect stamps, coins,
Collect.
and some
Yeah.
of these could be really expensive. Those are ideal for tokenization.
In India, I have heard about that real estate, just land registry documents. They can be shifted to blockchain, but this NFT it's more viable in a country like, let's say, UAE, in the UAE region. I've heard about a lot of applications of NFTs being implemented in real estate. So it's more of that kind of situation there, right?
Yeah, because of the legal system. So in India,
Yeah.
the legal system for land is and property is little more complex because it's a state issue. So it comes
Mhm.
under every state has their own legal system, their own kind of forms which have to be filled up. Language becomes a problem because in each
Yeah.
country the native record will be in the local language. So because
Mhm.
of that, as of right now in India, real estate tokenization has a lot of challenges.
And even the platform by Quillhash, DNFTs. Even they are very useful for creating partial ownership, not just real estate,
Hmm.
but even for any assets that we have. Let's say I want to register, as you mentioned, collectibles, right? I have a knack for old cars, collectible cars, right? So I just register them on the network and I use the NFTs to create partial ownership of that.
Oh, that's
That
excellent. So, what blockchain platform is that working on?
I think on Ethereum.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
But
quite
you must strongly consider putting the credit card system where people can pay as well as buy sell using credit cards. And since you're based in India, why not UPI?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we talked about this, application of NFTs in collectibles and currency and art. So one question that I personally feel is like how many applications, because there can be numerous, right? And NFTs have a lot of potential. So what beyond art and collectibles?
So, in the immediate short run, I would strongly feel that the best ways are the trademark, copyright, and patent NFTs, which will make it easier for creators like me to monetize their work much better. So, while definitely art and collectibles are good, trademark, copyright, patents, when these start to get tokenized, and I think that would be a game changer.
That would be
Yeah.
absolutely, and it would move towards a mass adoption
It
altogether.
would use to, yeah, it would be really,
When
really
people realize the legal complications reduced when NFTs are in the picture, right?
exactly. So we
Into
also have a lot of the, social media influencers who are there. Now today for them actually monetization is not that easy. One option is that they get paid to promote a product in their video, or second they may get some amount of ad revenue. But if they are given an opportunity to actually tokenize a lot of their creations and then have them translated globally and so many things can happen, that is where they would actually be able to generate so much more revenue. So hence I keep emphasizing on the intellectual property part of it.
intellectual property. Absolutely. Got it. Yes. So, like, I have had this personal view, and I think more people on the LinkedIn or internet everywhere, they have had this kind of caution that NFTs are moving at the same rate as ICOs in 2017.
Mhm,
And we all know in that situation, many of investors lost their money because of some scams or some, duplicacy or anything, right?
mhm, mhm.
So, what are the possible threats in NFTs? I know they are much different from ICOs, right? But what are the possible threats that a person should be aware of?
So first of all, I would say the biggest threat is not knowing who is creating that particular token. So anybody can go and create a token on somebody else's name. Now, how do we know we are dealing with the correct person? So here it is actually the responsibility of the platform to do some kind of KYC and due diligence. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to hear the word KYC, but without KYC, how will you know who you're dealing with? So suppose I come onto your platform and I say I'm Elon Musk and I go and create something. You
Yeah,
have to immediately identify and realize that this is fake. So as an NFT platform, you need to come out with some system to assure your customer that you have verified who has created this. So that is point number one. The second point that we have to understand is the creator creating NFTs on multiple platforms of the same thing? Because in an NFT, your provable scarcity is very important. Like when you create an original painting, there is only one. But when you create a reprint, there can be millions. So the fewer the reprints, the more the value there is. So as an artist, if I have created the NFTs on 10 different platforms, and on each of them I'm creating 5 and 10,000 units, then overall the whole system will fail. So as a buyer, I need to know for sure that you have not actually done this. And that is again a very difficult thing to figure out. So that is the problem number two. And third is the whole hype which is happening right now. Everything which happens in a hype is going to fail because people are paying unrealistic prices. You have to
exactly.
realize at the end of the day, what are you buying? If you are buying some licenses, are you going to be able to monetize the license? Or what is the level of satisfaction that you get with what you have bought? So please understand what you're buying before you actually buy it. So I would say these are the three biggest issues.
And personally, the third one that you mentioned, right? Just buying because of the hype. I think that is the most important point to tell to the audience. Let's say, for example, that just a tweet being sold for such a high price. I think it's kind of an opinion, but still, I don't think someone has to spend 25-30 million in that sense just because of the hype.
I'll give you some real life examples about this. So many years ago, Mahatma Gandhi's glass spectacles were put up for auction. And
Yeah.
I'll be very honest, I'm a big fan of his. So I actually bid in that auction. I was ready
Okay.
to go up to a little amount of money, but then I think it was Vijay Mallya who bought that out for some 20 lakhs or something. Now the
Okay.
question you could ask is, why do I want to buy Gandhiji's specs? I cannot answer that question. I feel that he was a great person, and I
Mhm.
actually thought if I can buy his specs, I will put my glasses in that and I will wear them once in a while, and maybe I will get some greatness in me. Now,
Yeah.
that's a personal opinion. So that is why somebody like me could even buy a tweet. Like, in fact, I wanted to bid for a tweet of Elon Musk. I'm a big fan of the guy, and one of his unique tweets, I want to have some kind of an ownership over it just to feel great. So people can have all sorts of things in their head. So people like me may end up even buying tweets, but we need to be sure that we know how many people have bought it. So if I can buy the right to say that this tweet is now my property and I can then license it out, suppose I can use that creation and license t-shirts with the tweet on it, and I'm the only
Okay.
guy in the world allowed to do it, I will monetize it. So that is why it is very important for us to understand what we are buying and how are we going to monetize it. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you look at Albert Einstein, a lot of
Yeah.
the great things that he had written, they are today the copyright is owned by one institute to whom he had given it in his will. If
Mhm.
that institute licenses some of Albert Einstein's writings and creations through NFTs, people can buy it and then create t-shirts out of it, for example. It could be a massive revenue opportunity for them. So people are clever. They will come out with ideas of monetizing. But we need two guarantees. We need to know it is sold by the genuine person, and we need to know how many units are actually sold. Otherwise, we can never figure out how to monetize.
Yeah. Like for counterfeiting part, I guess blockchain is always there, right?
But the problem also is that how do we make sure that the original author is not going and putting it on 10 different platforms? I am
Exactly.
checking on Ethereum, but he has also gone and put it on Tron and Flow. My
Yeah.
whole business model could collapse. So we need that surety to come from NFT platforms like the ones you are making. You need to guarantee to us that that is not happening.
Okay, absolutely. And one more thing I would like to put out is people are spending, like people are like following others who are spending so much in NFTs, and they are ending up spending their savings also.
Mhm.
Should not be a case in the NFT space. Just as in the crypto space, you should invest smartly, not your savings. You should invest the amount that you have, surplus amount, let's say, right?
Well, again, I would sort of disagree. I mean, everyone has a right to do whatever they feel like with his money. And I still remember at the time when I was bidding for Gandhiji's specs, I was ready to go far beyond my savings because I knew it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And honestly speaking, money is not the most important thing. It is that
Mhm.
happiness it gives you. So if buying something very expensive gives you that sense of happiness, well, it's your money, do what you want with it. And I wouldn't really say NFTs are only investments. That is
Mhm.
maybe correct in the case of crypto because crypto is not something you collect. It is either an asset class which you are going to do for investing in the long run or you are going to use as a medium of exchange. NFTs are going to be emotional buys. When
Yeah,
I'm buying a tweet, yes, I could monetize it in some ways, but there has to be that emotional connect. And that is the reason it's up to people to decide what they really want to do with it.
absolutely. But no, the thing that you mentioned, it's something to remember that. Let's say Elon Musk tweet. If you buy a tweet today and you think that it is going to be an investment tomorrow, you can't be sure about that, because if he's selling one tweet, he may sell 100 tweets again, or
Correct. That is where he
100
as an
tweets.
author has to
Yeah,
assure us that I will never sell this tweet again because ultimately it is his copyright. He needs
yeah,
to license to me. But another problem is in this case of the tweet, what are the rights of Twitter as a platform? Because
yeah.
Elon Musk did not write this and give it to me. He put it on Twitter. So we
Twitter.
have to also read Twitter's terms and conditions and then realize what is actually happening. So it is complex, which is why I believe as of right now, we should focus on more plausible use cases like the intellectual property being sold, where proper legal agreements can actually be put. So when you are buying it, you will be happy to know that platforms like Mintable, they actually have a copyright clause there where they say that, okay, after purchasing this NFT, is the copyright going to the buyer? So I would strongly recommend in the platform that you are building, build in the copyright aspect. Give people the legal agreements as samples. That which legal agreement are you giving your NFT under? And once you do that, it can get full protection of the law also.
So one thing I had in mind was, when you say that, okay, let's say I am a creator, I created some kind of invention, I just created a copyright of it or maybe a patent of it on a NFT platform, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So how do they? So there has to be some kind of bridge between the digital world and the traditional world, right? So they have to verify that this invention is real,
Correct.
and what kind of authority is involved in that?
Very
So
good. That's a very good question. So now what happens is under the Indian law, we have the Information Technology Act. Now that says that wherever we require handwritten signatures, digital signatures are allowed. Of course, there are some terms and conditions. And then there are exceptions. You cannot use digital signatures in a will, real estate documents. Few things are exempted. Now, when it comes to copyright, trademark, patent, you can use digital signatures. So for that, you will apply for a proper legal digital signature certificate under your country's laws. So in India, we have the controller of certifying authorities. We have certain certifying authorities. I give them documentary evidence proving who I am. They then issue me a certificate, and my digital signatures can get verified with that. So now, when I'm transferring my copyright to you, I will make sure that the license which I'm embedding inside the NFT will contain proper digital signature. And that is why one of the very important factors comes in. So I have created a mind map of NFTs. I will share it with you later if you have not seen that. So one of the points I've covered in that is, where is the metadata being stored? Is it on chain or off chain? So when I say metadata, I'm talking about all these things. The actual NFT is only the license. Never forget that. NFT is only supposed to have the license. It need not even have an image or video with it. All those things come under the second part, which we call as the metadata. So suppose I am giving you copyright. So I'm giving you copyright of a book. So the PDF copy of that book, the license agreement with my digital signature, all that is called as the metadata. Where is that being stored? If that can be stored on the chain, brilliant. If it cannot be stored on the chain, we have to make sure it will be there for X number of years. Because when I give you copyright, the law says copyright is valid till the life of the author plus 60 years after that. So suppose I sell it to you today and 5 years later I die. You still have 60 more years after that. That means total of 65 years. Now the question is, where will that document be for 65 years? Today you put it on a website. What if that startup doesn't exist anymore and the website is gone? So then the NFT becomes useless because the metadata with it is gone. So tomorrow if the matter goes to court, the court will say, what is the data related to this? So you need to make sure that that is going to remain there for at least 60 to 70 years. And that is another thing most people are not realizing today. Copyright is a long term thing.
Yeah.
Trademark can be forever, and patent is for 20 years. So patent is still the shortest. Copyright is very long, and trademark is as long as you want it to be. So we need to figure out where the metadata is also going to be stored.
One thing that I observed from this conversation is that the inclusion of a governing authority, maybe a government, maybe a third party institution, it's going to be critical for the growth of NFTs, right?
Well, we already have these authorities. So if it is going to be copyright, there is already a registrar of copyright in India, plus in other
Yeah.
countries. For trademark, patent, there are already authorities. This will just come under them. We don't need a new authority for NFT.
Mhm.
The traditional authorities will come into the picture depending upon what you are doing. So if your NFT relates to copyright, the registrar copyright becomes the automatic authority. That is why if it relates to land, then the land authority comes into the picture depending on the country. So I don't believe we need a new set of regulators. It is the traditional regulators depending upon the business use case.
So basically, NFTs will not just create a decentralized ecosystem. They are going to create one ecosystem of decentralization, but it's going to be integrated with the centralized system already existing, right?
You are absolutely correct. It can never be totally away from centralized. Like, even, I will be very honest. A lot of people say that crypto is decentralized. Actually, it is not.
Yeah.
In the traditional world, banks and other people rule. In the crypto world, exchanges rule. I mean, come to
Mhm.
think about it, without exchanges, how are most people going to buy and sell? The real
Exactly.
concept is that everybody has his own wallet, his own private keys, and then only does peer to peer transactions. But we know in reality, what is happening is exchanges are critical. So
Yeah.
even crypto is not as decentralized as we want it to be. And
Yeah.
definitely in NFT world also. See, nothing can become totally decentralized, because
Decentralized.
at the end of the day, somebody has to have an economic interest to maintain the system.
Yeah.
If you don't have miners, Bitcoin is over. Exchanges are not as important as the actual miners are important, or the full node operators. So we are always going to have centralization. It is just that the authorities are changing.
Okay.
Where earlier you have banks and central banks and governments, and now you have Bitcoin miners and full node operators. The definition names have changed. Definition is
Yeah.
still the same.
Still the same. And for some people, including me, who used to think, what if you are creating something on a digital platform and then you are getting it licensed on a digital platform? But that the question comes to mind: what if someone is copying something already existing somewhere and just creating on your digital platform? You can't be sure of that, right?
Correct. So that is where now for let's take an example of YouTube. Whenever you upload a video to YouTube, they do run a very specialized algorithm to try to detect copying or
Yeah,
plagiarism. Now, I know it's not so easy to implement, but then slowly over a period of time, platforms will have to develop some kind of technology by which they can figure out whether this is copied or not. Now, here, a lot of people will say hash function will do the job, but no, hash will only work if the identical thing is re uploaded. But what if
yeah,
somebody makes a very minute change and then uploads? Hash will
yeah.
totally change. But when you look at it, you'll realize it is the same thing. Now, that is
Exactly.
something unfortunately we don't have a solution for yet. And that is another very big threat to the whole NFT movement.
Exactly. So it needs to be either completely integrated first, and then you can trust it for your inventions or innovations to be on the platform. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
through the traditional method, and then maybe you can get a digital signature and represent it on the NFT network.
Absolutely. And then whoever the author is on his official platforms, he needs to say all this. So when I'm
Exactly.
following that author, his website or Twitter or whatever, which is verified, there he has to be very clear that, this is the only original thing. And if you get it somewhere else, don't consider it original.
Exactly. So just the case of tweak. Let's say, for example, Elon Musk tomorrow creates a book and he just pulls a quote from the book and does a tweet with it. So you're buying something which is already existing.
Yes.
So
Correct.
it's not going to give you that much, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
Got it. So I think we covered most of it, but are there any specific steps that a person should take before buying an NFT? So we covered most of them, I guess, but any other steps that you think should be absolutely necessary?
Choose your platforms carefully because I mean, try to choose platforms which have, the larger the marketplace, the better because the liquidity should be there. Like even when it comes to cryptos, people look at a lot of things, but for me, number one is always liquidity. That tomorrow, if I want to book profits or even book a loss and sell, am I going to find a buyer? So for
Yeah.
that, the liquidity becomes critical. So similarly, you need to see that whichever platform I am buying from, what is the volume of trades? So that what is the probability that tomorrow when I want to sell it, it will be
Mhm.
actually easy for me to sell it. So liquidity, according to me, becomes number one. So choose a platform accordingly.
Okay.
Also, when
So
you're choosing a platform, please consider the blockchain behind it. So as of right now, I would strongly say that Ethereum makes more sense because there are multiple NFT platforms on top of Ethereum, so the interoperability is higher. Tron and Flows are still pretty new, but nobody knows how it is going to work in future. Somebody has
absolutely.
asked, is it legal to buy NFT? Well, yes, unless what you have to see is what is the NFT of. Suppose that NFT is of an obscene picture. That
Mhm.
obscene picture is illegal under Indian law, so automatically buying, selling that will become a crime. So NFT as a concept, there's no law about it. What it is that you're buying becomes important. So whether it is a song, whether it is a picture, it should not be illegal or
Mhm.
and it should not be against public standards. And there are certain things which in certain countries are not accepted. It should not be against a particular religion. So as long as all those things are okay, as long as you feel comfortable showing what you have bought to your mother and grandmother,
Yeah.
that according to me is the best test. If you
Best,
feel
yes.
that what you have purchased is of a good quality and your mummy can see it, well then, then there is nothing really wrong with
I
it.
totally understand the point. I have had a personal experience with someone, one of my friends who bought something. He can't show to anyone, but he bought it and he spent a lot of money in it
Yeah.
as an NFT.
Okay,
So
so then that is
it's not
dangerous. I would say it's legal as long as you can show it to your mother and your mother is not going to be upset about it.
exactly.
But otherwise, there is no law. In fact, I would like to clarify. A lot of people keep wondering whether crypto is banned in India or not. Well, as of today, it is not. It is
Yeah.
20th March 2021. As of
Yeah.
today, there is no law in force.
Yeah.
We must always remember in India, the law does not tell you what to do. The law only tells you what not to do. And then
Yeah.
if you do it, they can punish you. So as of today, there is no law which specifically bans crypto or NFTs.
Yeah.
Even if such a law was to come in, probably that law will ban certain kinds of cryptos which are mineable, but not really something like an NFT, which is just like an intellectual property license sale. So no, I don't doubt whether that will ever become illegal.
And absolutely, I think that even they are encouraging blockchain-based solutions, which are which are ethical.
Yes,
All they're trying to do is stop the non-ethical thing. So I just had this copy from Forbes yesterday only, a day before yesterday. So on the first page of Forbes, it was a blockchain-based healthcare product. It was a therapeutical product.
very nice.
So they are encouraging that, right?
Absolutely. Government of India, in fact, is I would say one of the first top few countries in the world which is very positive on blockchain. So they
Blockchain.
are definitely looking at use cases like NFT. So I don't believe they would ever ban. Someone's asked that on every time NFT sell any platform. Yeah. So in fact, almost every platform has this royalty system. In fact, this should be there in the normal physical paintings also. That when an artist creates something, he gets royalty when you sell the painting. So suppose you have bought a painting for 1 lakh. After few years, you sell it for 10 lakhs. Some money should go back to the original artist. That happens in many countries. It is not compulsory by law, but it is optional in many countries. But when you come to the NFT world, almost every platform that I see, you can set the royalty percentage. So when you create or you mint your own NFT, you will
Yeah.
put what is the royalty that should be paid to you every time the NFT is sold. So every
Okay.
buyer knows that when I pay for it, 5% is going to go to the original guy. So that is there in almost all the platforms.
It should be there, because
It
if
should
you
be there.
think good but you are not able to tap the right market, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get the actual value of it, right?
Exactly. So today, as a new author or an artist, you may have sold the NFT cheap, but in
Yeah,
future, when you become more famous and somebody sells it, they are making a huge amount of money. Why not at least 5% should come to you? So yes,
exactly.
it is there
Exactly.
on almost all platforms.
Exactly. That's a must have. Got it. Okay. So I think one thing that is left is, so top platforms to create NFTs. We discussed that, okay, there are Ethereum, Tron, and Flow, right? So one thing I had in mind was, so NFT standards. I think most of the audience who knows about NFTs, they know that ERC 721 is the most common standard
And
used.
now Tron has also come out with a similar standard for the
Yeah.
Tron this thing. And then there is something called D Goods, which has also come out with its own standard. And even on Ethereum now there is a new proposed standard which hasn't come yet. But yeah, that they are working on that also.
Yes. So that's the one I wanted to talk about. 1157, I guess it is.
I don't remember the number actually.
Okay, okay. So it was also something like, you can create a fungible token and a non-fungible token within the same standard, rather
I,
than
I
just
I have
exactly.
unfortunately not read up on that much, so I won't be able to comment. But if you are aware, I mean, that
No,
sounds
no.
interesting. That
This is all I know. This
okay,
is all I know.
okay,
I was doing some research on ERC 20 standards, ERC standards, right? And this came up that you can just use it same standard to create fungible as well as non-fungible tokens.
yeah. So I think what maybe one game changer could be that if there has to be a standardized place for the metadata to be stored. So whether
Yeah.
your token is running on Ethereum or Tron or wherever, the metadata is very critical here, and there needs to be some kind of a standardized method. Like you have archive.org, which is a project which is trying to copy the entire internet and store it forever. So
Yeah.
you can go there and see past versions of almost all websites in the world. So some platform like this, or even you can put it up on archive.org. But there should be multiple platforms because we have to think of at least 60 to 70 years into the future when we are talking about the metadata being stored. So that is something which is more critical than a new standard. What to do with the metadata and what is the right place to store them.
Okay. Got it. Absolutely. So I guess this was it about all the things that I have mentioned in the presentation.
Sure.
Any questions that have been on the YouTube channel, maybe we can take those from the audience.
Sure. So I whatever questions I have seen here so far, I think I've answered them. If there are any new ones, please feel free to
I'll
ask.
I'll, I'll just
Yeah,
check.
somebody has just said, can a company use smart contract for their employees for various purposes in India without? That's a very good question. So, what would it would depend upon what exactly is the contract you're doing. That should not be illegal. So, for example, in India, we have something called the Contract Act that specifies what a valid contract is and what it can and cannot do. Like many of you may not be aware, but a lot of the bonds which companies make employees sign, they make you sign a bond about how many years you have to work and all that. In many cases, that is illegal. So, if you do that kind of a thing over a smart contract, it automatically becomes illegal. As far as the Indian law is concerned as of today, whether a contract is on paper or it is in a smart contract, it doesn't matter. They can both be considered. The fundamental purpose of it should not be illegal. So the person in the contract should not be below 18 years of age because people below 18 cannot make a contract. Every contract has to have a consideration. In fact, the term in law is no consideration, no contract, which means a gift cannot be enforced as a contract because I did not get anything in return. Plus both sides should be open minded. There should be nobody forcing you to sign. So as long as those basic criteria are met, it becomes a valid contract, and definitely smart contract can be used. There would be no need for a special permission from the government. But you will not be able to do this when it comes to buying and selling land, because again the law on that says you cannot use digital documents. So follow the conventional law, and then you can use paper or smart contract.
Mhm.
Another question is if there is no law regulating NFTs, how does that take away the risk of being announced as illegal by government? Like I said, the law doesn't tell you what you can do. The law tells you what you cannot
And
do.
yeah.
Like the law will never say, while you are walking on the road, should you spit or not spit. Now, what does the law say? If you spit on the road, you can be fined. Or now, because of COVID, new rules may come in, you may even be put into jail for it, because you may have COVID and you are endangering the public. So the law specifically says that if you do this particular act which we think is wrong, then this is the punishment with it. So as of today, there is nothing on NFT, so nobody is stopping you. But tomorrow, if the government specifically says that anything which is running on a platform which has a mineable cryptocurrency is illegal, automatically ETH becomes illegal. If ETH becomes illegal, every Ethereum transaction becomes illegal. Every NFT running on Ethereum will become illegal because it runs on ETH. Can you do an Ethereum transaction without gas fees? No. ETH is critical, and if ETH is banned, automatically everything else gets banned.
Everything is
So
banned.
that is how the law would actually work. So what I expect, if it happens, would be that mineable cryptos would be made illegal based on what the earlier law, which we saw 2 3 years ago, which the government had put as a draft. Under that, they were very specific, talking about mineable cryptos. So if that goes, all NFTs running on Ethereum, Tron, and Flow would also go. Then it would only work if you're not using a NFT platform with a mineable crypto. That is how it works.
And I guess basic rules and regulations are always there because NFTs come under some digital things, right? So obviously the things defined in the law that okay you can't use this to fund terrorist organizations and all that, they are already there.
They
But
are
if you're
already there. Yes. Money
selling
laundering,
and
money
buying of
laundering, and other
NFT,
such laws are already
yeah,
there. Yes.
absolutely. So buying and selling of NFTs, I don't think that has the risk of being illegal.
Now I'll tell you where the risk could come. So now let us say that Ethereum is tomorrow banned because
Yeah,
ETH is banned because the crypto bans all mineable.
yeah,
Now my NFT is running on Ethereum.
yeah.
Now what to do? So now I will face a problem. I will have to take that documents from Ethereum and then go to the regular court and get my right enforced. That even
Exactly.
though the NFT no longer exists, the license I have purchased still continues. So it
So,
will create some kind of legal problems. But again,
but
we don't know. It is speculation.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
if in future digital currency is banned in India, hope this will not happen. Then how to use smart contracts in Ethereum? Yes, you are right. If that happens, you will not be able to use smart contracts on Ethereum or any other public blockchain for that matter, because every public blockchain uses a mineable crypto for transactions. Automatically, overnight, all of them can then become illegal. So at that time, you will then probably have to start using a federated kind of a blockchain scenario where they are not using a mineable crypto. But again, it is very difficult to comment because till we see the new law, it's very difficult to comment what will happen. Now, one thing which we expect, that even if a law is coming out, logically the government will first give the draft version, allow people to give comments. Then, if the law is passed, you will be given maybe 3 to 6 months to wind up your investment. So, as and when the government does show the draft law to the rest of the country, then we will actually know what exactly is going to happen.
So in this scenario, the thing you mentioned that maybe the platform can be integrated with credit card and debit cards, right? So rather than having a digital currency, NFTs can exist without that also. So maybe
Yeah.
we can NFTs on a blockchain platform and buy and sell inside that ecosystem, right?
That is where the federated blockchains come in. So if you
Federated
are not, see, you must remember, why does a public blockchain use native crypto?
native.
The reason is two. One is to incentivize the miners and other people who are going to spend time, money, and energy to do validations. And secondly, to prevent spam transactions. If there is zero gas fee, I could send millions of transactions to clog the network because nobody knows me. But in a
Yeah,
private scenario, everybody is verified as an entity. We know who you are. So now you are less likely to do all these stupid things because you could get caught and arrested. And that
exactly.
is where the benefit of the federated blockchain comes.
Federated
And there you don't
blockchains.
need a native crypto.
Exactly.
Somebody has asked, so the risk of NFT being illegal hangs right there. Yes, unfortunately, that risk is there because Tron, Ethereum, and Flow may become illegal if crypto gets banned. And yes, that is why the risk is still there.
So if there was some platform with a utility token, let's say, not a
Uh,
dish. see, but a utility token that you can buy from your traditional credit card or let's say PayPal, then it would be a much better option.
I will be able to answer the question once the government defines it. Like
Exactly.
when they say this is banned, they define what is banned. So
Yeah.
we will have to read the definition and then see what comes under it. Because
Ex-
what if it's a security token which represents equity of a company? Now
Yeah.
automatically that will come under SEBI. And there are a whole set of laws on that.
Yeah.
What if it amounts to some kind of a debt? Then RBI and a whole set of laws are already there. So
Yeah.
this question is of yours is very difficult to answer. We are
Absolutely.
today calling it a utility token, but because there is no law which defines it, it is a
Yeah.
general practice. In India,
Yeah.
there's no law defining utility token or anything. So
Yeah.
once the government law comes, then we need to read what the definition is and what comes under it and what does it.
And we can say that in the meantime, we don't have to be so skeptical or so scared about it,
Yeah,
right?
because yeah, if we get skeptical and not do anything, and tomorrow the ban doesn't come, then we will regret having missed out so many months of innovation.
Exactly.
So I would say that as long as there is nothing, please feel free to do it. But be careful what you're buying. Again, understand what license you're getting when you're buying an NFT. Please
Yeah.
don't randomly just go and buy something which doesn't make sense in the long run. If you like
Absolutely.
it, it makes sense to you, you feel you can, it gives you happiness, great, buy it.
Absolutely. So one question, sir. What for someone? So I see a few people are mentioning development of smart contracts and all. So if someone wants to start their journey in NFTs as a developer, where
Mhm.
should they?
So first step, choose your platform. And logically today, Ethereum is the most popular. So basically, you should know how to write smart contracts on Ethereum. So if you
Mhm.
go to the Ethereum side, there are very great, nice developer documents which are available, and you could
Mhm.
start on that. If you already know Ethereum or you want to expand, I would say Flow and Tron are very good places to go to.
Mhm.
Personally speaking, I'm very impressed with the Algorand public blockchain because they
Algorand.
have one of the most unique features that I've ever seen where even though your public address is the same, your private key can change in the background. So
Yeah.
that is a very unique, interesting concept they've built in, and I believe in the long run that could make Algorand grow quite a bit.
Yes.
So personally, these are my favorite platforms.
So the changing in private keys, you can even create a separate private key, give to someone, and allow them to trade on your behalf. So
Yeah,
it,
lots of very innovative things are being done. I am
yeah,
right now working on a research of about 25 public blockchains. I should be done in
okay,
a few weeks' time. I'll then put it up for everyone to see. So then that'll give you idea of other platforms, what are the benefits, and in the long run.
would
But
be great.
to be honest, as of today, Ethereum is number one.
Ethereum is number one. Absolutely. So, other than developers, if someone just wants to understand them to get maybe a theoretical part of not just NFTs, the whole ecosystem of how it's how cryptocurrencies work or how NFTs, what kind of NFTs are there. What would you suggest?
Start with the Future Money playbook, which I've written. It's a free download. Anyone
Okay.
can download it. So I've tried to cover it from the absolute basics, even if you know zero. It will
Mhm.
bring you up and you will understand all these terms which are there.
Okay.
Whenever anyone says proof of work or they say central bank digital currency, stable coin, you will have quite a good understanding. So I would strongly recommend that should be the first step. Get that basic understanding. After that, you can then decide to, maybe do small amount of buying. So there are some very good exchanges in India which do your KYC. They are connected to your bank account. So they've handled the KYC issue also very well. So that would logically be a second step where you can try investing a very small amount of money to get a rough idea about how it works. But start with the book.
I'll just put the name here so that everyone knows and it is available so that you can just let me show. Okay. So what you see on your screens, it is Future Money Playbook, and you can find the link. I think it will be in the first comment after the video goes live.
Perfect.
Sure. Okay, so I guess this is all from my side that I wanted to cover, and even more than what we wanted to cover, we have covered a lot, and it has been really great. So if you want to give just an end note, please, sir.
No, I think we've covered all the issues.
Absolutely. So, in the end, I would just like to thank Mr. Rohas Nagpal. It was a really great session, and I personally enjoyed a lot. I have, my whole perspective of NFTs it's changed. Earlier,
Glad to hear that.
simple examples, okay, money, currency, you represent it, it's fungible. But actual thing is that representation is fungible, not the actual asset. So that kind of perspective, it really changes a lot of things. And I'm sure the audience would also benefit a lot. So thank you for your time, sir. And uh, I think we can.
My pleasure. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.